Here's something that will mess with your head. The Bible calls Jesus both the creator of everything and the firstborn over all creation. Wait, what? If he created everything, how can he be the firstborn of it? Today, we're diving deep into Sabbath School Lesson 8, specifically unpacking what it means that Christ is the firstborn over creation and how the cross reconciles literally all things in the universe. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why these titles aren't contradictory but actually reveal the most profound truth about who Jesus really is.
So let me throw this at you right away. When most people hear firstborn, they think oldest child, right? But that's not what Paul's getting at in Colossians 1:15.
Exactly, and this is where we need to understand ancient Near Eastern culture. According to the lesson content, the firstborn wasn't necessarily the oldest child, it referred to rank, not birth order. The firstborn possessed the inheritance and leadership.
So it's about position, not chronology?
Right. The lesson gives us some fascinating examples. David was the youngest of 8 sons, but God said through the psalmist, "I will make him my firstborn, the highest of the kings of the earth." David wasn't first in birth order, but he was first in rank and authority.
That's actually brilliant. So when Paul calls Jesus the firstborn over all creation, he's not saying Jesus was created first. He's saying Jesus has supreme authority over everything that exists.
And Paul makes this crystal clear by what he says next. According to Colossians 1:16, "By him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible." Paul says this twice in 2 different ways to make sure we don't miss it.
Wait, so Paul's basically saying Jesus created everything, therefore he can't be part of the created group?
Exactly. And look at how comprehensive Paul gets, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. The lesson notes these terms normally refer to angelic beings. So even the highest spiritual powers were created by Jesus.
That's wild. So we're talking about a scope that includes literally everything. Physical and spiritual, visible and invisible.
And then Paul adds this mind-blowing detail. He is before all things, and in him all things consist. The Greek word for consist literally means bring together or unite. Jesus isn't just the creator, he's actively holding everything together right now.
So it's not like he built the universe and walked away. He's the ongoing force that keeps it from falling apart?
That's exactly right. The lesson emphasizes that Jesus is the unifying factor of the universe, not only because of his role as creator, but also because he is the Redeemer.
Okay, so that's Monday's theme about Christ as firstborn. But Thursday's lesson takes this to an even more cosmic level with reconciliation. What does Paul mean when he talks about reconciling all things?
This is where it gets really profound. In Colossians 1:19-20, Paul says, "It pleased the Father that all the fullness should dwell in Christ, and through him to reconcile all things unto himself, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven."
All the fullness. What does that even mean?
According to the lesson, this fullness encompasses God's eternity, self-existence, and his power to create and recreate. But most importantly, it underscores his wisdom in conquering sin and death through the cross.
So the fullness of God, all of who God is, was dwelling in Jesus when he went to the cross.
Yes, and that's what makes the reconciliation possible. The lesson quotes John 1:14, describing this fullness as being full of grace and truth. It's not just power, it's the complete revelation of God's character.
But here's what I'm struggling with. When Paul says all things are reconciled, does that mean everyone gets saved? Like, is this teaching universalism?
Great question, and the lesson actually addresses this. It's not teaching universalism, not everyone will be saved, but the cross has a universal impact. The lesson mentions that Paul uses the Greek word kosmos, which can encompass the whole universe.
So it's not that everyone accepts reconciliation, but everyone witnesses it?
Exactly. And this is where the lesson gets really fascinating. It quotes 1 Corinthians 4:9, where Paul says, "We have been made a spectacle to the world, both to angels and to men." The cross is a cosmic event that the entire universe is watching.
Wait, so angels are watching this whole thing unfold?
The lesson includes this incredible quote from Ellen White, "Heaven viewed with grief and amazement Christ hanging upon the cross." Think about that. The angels who had worshipped Christ in his eternal glory were watching their creator die.
That's actually heartbreaking. The way Paul uses firstborn reminds me of how we misunderstand birth order in families today. It's not about who came first, It's about who carries the responsibility and inheritance.
That's such a good connection. And it makes you realize that when we call Jesus the firstborn, we're not just talking about his rank, we're talking about his willingness to take responsibility for the entire family of creation.
So the cross isn't just about saving humans, it's about resolving this cosmic conflict?
The lesson explains that the cross transforms that most inglorious object into a testimony of his eternal love for every created being. It's God's way of demonstrating his character to the entire universe.
And that quote about Ellen White's perspective on the angels, it really makes you think about what they must have felt watching their creator die on a cross.
Right, and the lesson continues that quote. At the beginning of the great controversy, the angels did not understand this, but not so when the great controversy shall be ended. Then, the plan of redemption having been completed, the character of God is revealed to all created intelligences.
So the cross is like the final answer to every question about God's character?
That's exactly what the lesson is saying. The cross settles the great controversy forever by exposing sin and vindicating God's character. It proves that love, not coercion, is the foundation of his kingdom.
But here's something that's blowing my mind. If Jesus is holding all things together right now, what does that actually look like?
When Paul says Jesus holds all things together, he's describing something more profound than gravity. It's the active, ongoing choice of love that keeps existence from falling apart. It's not just physical laws, it's relational coherence.
So every moment that the universe continues to exist is actually an act of love?
Think about it. The lesson says Jesus created all things through him and for him. Everything exists because of his love and for his purposes. Even the fact that we can have this conversation right now is because he's actively sustaining reality.
That's incredible. And it makes the cross even more significant, doesn't it? The one who's holding everything together chose to die for us.
And the lesson asks this powerful question. God, the Creator, died for us. What could our works add to that? It's pointing out that trying to add our works to what Christ has done is actually blasphemous.
Because it undermines the infinite value of his sacrifice?
Exactly. If the creator of the universe, the one who holds all things together, died for us, what could we possibly add to that? It's complete. It's finished.
So when we understand Christ as the firstborn over all creation, it's not just a theological concept, it's supposed to change how we see everything?
The lesson talks about how we become firstborn heirs and image bearers restored in Christ. We're called to reflect his image, to be ambassadors of life and protectors of God's creation.
So it's not just about what Christ has done, it's about who we become because of what he's done?
Right, and the lesson emphasizes that protecting life and leading souls to Christ is not optional, it is our firstborn responsibility as fellow imitators of Christ. We inherit his mission along with his salvation.
That's a heavy responsibility, but also an incredible privilege.
And it all flows from understanding who Christ really is. The lesson quotes Ellen White saying Christ was the commander of the heavenly intelligences, and the adoring homage of the angels was received by him as his right. This is who chose to die for us.
You know what strikes me about all this? The cross doesn't just save humans, it's a cosmic revelation that settles the great controversy by exposing God's character to the entire universe, angels included.
That's such a profound way to put it. And it means that every time we choose love over force, every time we serve instead of demanding to be served, we're reflecting that same character that was revealed at the cross.
So the reconciliation that happened through the cross, it's not just a one-time event, it's an ongoing reality that we get to participate in?
The lesson talks about how Christ's reconciliation brings peace with God, restoration of trust in God's government, healing of broken relationships. We become agents of that same reconciliation in our world.
And it all starts with understanding that the one who created everything, who holds everything together, is the same one who died to reconcile everything back to himself.
The lesson ends with this beautiful truth. The cross becomes the center of cosmic peace, restoring harmony wherever reconciliation is possible and securing eternal trust in God's government.
So when you step back from all this, here's what really matters. We're not just talking about abstract theology. We're talking about the most practical truth in the universe. The Creator loves his creation so much that he became part of it to save it.
And that love isn't just sentiment, it's the actual force that holds reality together. Every breath we take, every heartbeat, every moment of existence is sustained by the love of the one who died for us.
Which means that understanding Christ as firstborn over all creation isn't just about getting our doctrine right, it's about recognizing that we live in a universe where love is literally the fundamental force.
And when we grasp that, it changes everything. how we treat people, how we see our purpose, how we understand our own identity as firstborn heirs in Christ, it all flows from this cosmic truth.
Here's what I want you to do this week. Every time you see something beautiful in creation, remember that the one who made it is the same one who died for you. And every time you have the chance to show love instead of demanding your rights, remember that you're reflecting the character that was revealed at the cross. Because that's what it means to be firstborn in Christ. Not to demand privilege, but to take responsibility. Not to be served, but to serve. Not to hold on to power, but to lay it down in love. The creator of the universe became the firstborn from the dead so that we could become firstborn heirs of life. That's not just good news. That's the best news the cosmos has ever heard.
Thanks for joining us on Copilot Podcasts.